Okay. This is our opportunity to have fun. Fun in a really good, deep way, not just sort of like agitated fun, which is the normal definition of fun in out there. In here, so it's a different sort of fun, different sort of happiness, and that happiness comes from, what we do as Buddhists. What do we do as Buddhists? I don't know. I'm a Buddhist. This is a Buddhist place, so we do Buddhist stuff here, and Buddhist stuff is about. Actually, the Tibetan word for Buddhist is a nangche. Nang means inside, inner. Inner Dharma, inner truth, inner teaching. So it means inner teaching. So that's what we are, nangche, or sort of this inner Dharma. So we're sort of in here. We're sort of not only in here, we're sort of actually in here, in our mind, in our own space, in our own feelings, emotions, wants, needs, aspirations, thoughts, opinions. The various minds we create. That's where we're nangpas. We're internal people. And that's the literal meaning of it. Yes, we can change the world, but that's great. Change the world, but it's probably a lot easier to start by, or a lot more productive in the long term to start by changing yourself. The problem with changing the world out there is that the world's going to push back. People might not like what you want to do or say or opinions you got or changes you want to make. So they may say, no, you can't do that, I won't do that. I don't agree. But we need to focus internally. The only thing that's preventing us changing to be a better person, to be, well, let's say a kinder person, a more generous person, a more loving person, or a more focused person with a mind that's better. It's not those external people who are pushing back those external enemies. What it is the internal enemies, which are our crazy minds, the crazy minds. Now, when we talk about crazy minds in Buddhism, we sort of use the word like afflicted mind, crazy minds. These crazy minds misperceive reality. The wrong perception of it. We actually see things incorrectly. And that because of seeing and believing what we see is true, then we make all these wrong decisions and we hurt ourselves and we hurt other people. So these afflicted minds are the only thing preventing us having a hell of a lot of happiness and a hell of a lot of fun, a hell of a lot of joy in life. The other thing is our habits, our habits and behaviours and actions we repeatedly do and can't stop ourselves doing, which has got a lot to do with what we call karma, which is cause and effect. So we're habitually programmed by the things that have occurred to us in this life, and we believe in the things that occurred to us and things we did in previous lives. We're programmed, we're like hardwired. And so because we're hardwired, we're a bit like a tram that's going down, going down Hawthorne Road out there. So a tram's going down. It can't suddenly decide to turn left. It has to follow the tram track. It can't until it gets to one of those painful sort of turns in the road where it sort of makes those agonising sort of turns with there's metal scraping on it, and then that's how a tram turns. Okay, got a lot of pain, a lot of effort, and we're a bit like that too because of the force of karma is so strong. We're really on this tram tracks, these train tracks, and we can't get off them. So the combination of two things: the crazy, afflicted minds, and then the karmic seeds or the karmic tendencies we've got, which come not only from this life but from previous lives. That's what we think. And we can sort of prove it too. So it's not all just belief. But some things are a bit harder to prove, so we have to rely on our scriptures, our texts and things like that. So the Buddha wrote, see all that things on the right there, with all those flap labels on it, they're all texts that the Buddha taught, that they were written down. That's only a fraction of them because they were the ones that went to Tibet and were translated into there were Sanskrit texts that were translated then into Tibetan, and then those ones were the ones that escaped the Chinese invasion, where a lot of that literature was destroyed. So but anyhow, it's all fairly impressive, considering each of one of those is, like maybe, I don't know, 1,000 pages of script. And that were just some of the Buddha's philosophies. Then over here on that side, there's another selection of them, and they're the commentaries, mainly from the great Indian and Tibetan masters on those texts. So that are sort of things the great teachers study. I mean, people like me don't, because we can't read Sanskrit, can't read Tibetan and all that sort of stuff well. So we have to rely on our teachers to teach us. But the basic thing about us as being insiders, these nungpas, is that we believe the cause of happiness is in here. Believe the cause of happiness. We can try to get happiness from other people, and we do. We have. I'm sure all of you have spent your entire life trying to get happiness from other people, from other things, other events, from jobs, careers, even your body. We'd even say the body is something external, even getting happiness out of your body. But it's fraught with peril because it's so unpredictable. Everything's unpredictable. Your body's unpredictable. You get up in the morning, it's in pain. You go to bed at night, it's fine. And then, but it's totally unpredictable. Who knows when some illness will happen. And other people are unpredictable. If we invest our happiness, I invest my happiness in you, and you will make me happy. And there, we will go down this path of life together. But things change, people change, relationships change, and suddenly that contract is broken, and we're alone. And then there's grief and loss and sadness, and we realise we are alone, and we can blame the other person, we can blame ourselves, we can blame anything, but the reality of that is the nature of all compounded phenomena, that they change. And that's where we came to a little bit of our discussion last week, is about impermanence and how it affects our existence. It's an existential issue. What is the nature of our existence? Now, the good thing about impermanence is that things can change. So our crazy mind, there's this mind that's distracted and creates a lot of havoc for ourselves and for others. It can change, and how do we change it? We do it by meditation. We change the mind by meditating. So, how do we meditate? We'll meditate in a minute, but I'm sure everyone in this room has meditated, or anyone in this room has anyone in this room never tried meditating before? Just put your hands up. Okay, is anyone here for the first time today? Oh, cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 newbies. Beautiful, great. We like newbies. Thank you for coming. I hope you have a good time. I hope it's better than watching Netflix. I hope it was worth getting out there in the cold and coming here. I can guarantee when you leave here tonight you will be happy. Whereas if I went home and you watch Netflix, you may think you're happy, but in actuality there's a disruption to your mind that has occurred, a subtle pain that's occurred, subtle disruption that is actually a form of unhappiness. But if you come here, be happy. Partly because this space is pretty special. A lot of very great lamas have meditated here, and a lot of people like you have meditated here. Over the decades we've been here, thousands and tens of thousands of people, and that leaves a little bit of smell. The smell, a bit like incense. You can sort of smell the incense, sort of a little bit. It's a residue in it, and it's that has an effect. So it's an effect. So, just by coming here, you become a bit settled. Just by sitting still, when you think in life how difficult it is to be still, it's really difficult, really difficult. And so you've taken some really big steps today to be happy at a deeper level, because you've come here. Maybe you were dragged here by a friend or something. Probably you were. But you got here, and so that's really different, because the rest of the people in this society are doing stuff that brings agitation, whereas you've come here in a search maybe for some sort of peace or an answer or something. Sometimes people come here, they're really sick, they're dying. Yeah, they're going to die. They know they're going to die. Or they've had very close loss and grief. I'm teaching another class tomorrow. It's in America, but I'm not in America, I'm here. But anyway, I'm teaching on death and rebirth, and it's amazing how many people have actually experienced grief of people really, really close to them. And then they need to understand why grief occurs, why. They just need to know why. They just need to know why. So we can't answer that, but what we can do is become a little bit happy. And our definition of happiness involves the mind being still. Because afflicted minds, when they dominate, when afflicted sort of thoughts, when they dominate the mind, that's it's almost the definition of suffering. So the afflicted minds, one day we can talk about afflicted minds, what they are, but when they dominate the mind, that's suffering. So when we meditate, we try to meditate on something which stills the mind, just keep it nice and still. Or if we want, so that can be like a neutral object such as the breath, because the breath is really good, it's simple. Or else what we can do is meditate on something that has as its nature something really positive. Now, one of the things that we Buddhists regard as really positive, and a lot of non-Buddhists too, is just like the image of the Buddha, like the Buddha behind me. If we meditate on that and develop concentration on that, then it has a wonderful pacifying effect on the mind because it's so positive. Now, if you're a Christian, Jesus Christ, Mary or something. If you're Jewish, I don't know, whatever symbol you've got. If it's Islamic, whatever, Jain, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just focus on that and develop a single point of concentration on that, and then that will develop a great positive benefit in your mind, great positive benefit. But because this is a bit of a secular sort of thing, and I don't know where you people have come from and what backgrounds, and I respect whatever background you've come from. We just do something really neutral because it's really easy. It's really easy and it's nice and it's simple and something you can go away and do. And you can even do it if you're sitting, going home on that tram tonight up Hawthorne Road. You can just sit there and do it and meditate on the breath, and then you don't have to do it. You don't have to close your eyes even. You just sit there and meditate on the breath, and it can rekindle that sort of little bit of peace. So we'll do that for about 10 or 15 minutes or so. But on the other hand, I really don't like talking all the time. I mean, I can talk solidly for hours if you want to. I could just keep going, but I really don't like it. I don't think it's productive. So I'd like to get feedback from people. So before we actually start meditating, I mean, you know what you're meditating on and how to meditate. So comments from the audience? Pablo. Any comments? Meditative experiences. Maybe you've had some really whiz-bang meditative experiences. I'd love to know about it, because I have had none. So I'd love to be inspired by your efforts or experiences. Sorry? Very eager to meditate, yeah. For me to shut up and meditate. Okay, I get the message, thank you. I'm actually too, because I've had a busy day too. So, okay, what is it to meditate? Meditate means to do, well, let's just do it. Okay, what's the most important thing in meditation? Is it to sit with cross-legged? No. Is it to be pious? No. Is it to be in pain? No. You should be comfortable. Sit on a chair, sit on cushions if you're comfortable. Most important thing is actually to keep your back straight, because that's what there are psychic channels in the body, and those psychic channels, if they're twisted, they reduce the ability to meditate. So we'll do it a little bit longer today, and then the way it goes is we meditate, then blah blah blah, debrief on that. Then we have a little talk about the subject. We debrief on that, then we have a cup of tea and go home. So it's quite nice, quite nice. So meditate on the breath. The breath goes in and out of the nostrils. You can meditate on the breath going in and out of the nostrils, that's fine. You can meditate on it going to your lungs filling, your abdomen going in and out. We tend not to breathe like this. We don't breathe with the chest. we breathe through the abdomen, and we don't control the breath, so we don't stop breathing. We don't try to slow it down, speed it up. We just at normal pace. In normal pace. We tend to have our hands in our laps, or you can have them on your here, whatever your tradition is, whatever you're comfortable. Have your bottom elevated a bit with some cushions, because that keeps your spine straight. So we'll do this for about maybe 12 minutes or so. I won't say anything, and we'll just meditate. But please bring your mind into the room, bring your mind into your body, bring your mind onto the breath, and stay there on the breath for the next. Okay, just slowly in your own time and space. You can stretch your legs or do whatever you want to. Excuse me. So, anybody got anything they want to share or talk about? Okay. No worries. We've got time. So, meditation is, this is just like a simple stabilizing meditation. It's really good for calming down the mind, especially when it's agitated. So we do that at the beginning before we do things. It's good to do like before meetings and things like that. Before, especially if you have a complex meeting you're going to, or a disciplinary thing you're going to, or something. Calm the mind down. Or any difficult situation in life, good to just do something, because it does just stabilise the mind and then allows you to think a bit more clearly and everything. And then there's the other sort of meditation we do, which depends a little bit on analysing. They're both useful. They're both really useful. We don't just do one. So some philosophies say analysis is sort of wrong. We shouldn't analyse things. You just go meditate on an object in the mind and without analysis, and that has benefit. That has a lot of benefit, but eventually it can't go any further. So we have to be able to analyse, and to analyse we have have something to think about. You know, we can't just be analysing who's going to win the grand final on Saturday week or something. We can't. It goes nowhere because we won't know till the grand final's done, will we? But in other ways we can analyse a little bit about reality, and then we can change our opinions and viewpoints. Because at the moment we'll probably say that how we view things is sort of wrong. How wrong? And then because we're viewing things incorrectly, we believe in that perception we have, and then we make the wrong decision. So we have to make correct decisions. Now, one of the biggest wrong sort of views we have is the view of permanence, that things are unchanging. Now, we started talking about this last week, and it is the fundamental. It's like the fundamental first step in Buddhist philosophy is to understand impermanence, because everything else, just about everything else, relies on us understanding impermanence. If we believe that things are not going to change, an unchanging nature of existence, then it sort of gives you, sort of no hope, because, I mean, you're stuck like this forever. You know, if you've got depression, grief, sadness, loss, pain, mental illness, physical illness, you're stuck with that forever. If the environment is going to be the way it is, then it's stuck with it forever. But if we understand how change occurs, that things do change, then give yourself a little bit of hope, because even the most deepest, darkest, sinister, sort of saddest thoughts we have, that deep depression, sadness, grief, loss, whatever it is, the wonderful thing about it, it has one virtue. It has one virtue in that it changes. It will not stay the same. So, you may be stuck in that black hole for quite a while, but even in that black hole it's changing. But eventually there will be some light, as we crawl out of the black hole. It may need help. That's cool. That's why you're here. We all need help. We all need friends. We need normal friends. We need spiritual friends. We need guides to help us to get out of those black holes in life. So that's a wonderful virtue of negative minds or crazy minds, is that they do change. Unfortunately, also good minds do change. So we might aspire to virtuous minds like love, compassion, all that sort of stuff. And they change too unless they're nurtured. So now it is possible by nurturing these minds of love, compassion, mental stabilisation, wisdom, those sort of things, morality, those sort of minds, they can become so strong that they really become, they can't be broken. People can criticise, they can damage, they can even imprison you or torture you, but they can't destroy it. They can't destroy those minds. So, we've had many examples within the Tibetan community of people like that. Like Geshe here, he had to flee Tibet when the Chinese invaded. He left with nothing. He just basically his clothes he was in. He had to leave everything, his family, his whole life. So, and then many of his people died. Many people. So, but still, he kept that essence in his heart of love, compassion, joy, wisdom, all these sort of virtuous minds, and they couldn't be destroyed. And in fact, that suffering he experienced enhanced it. So these afflicted, these crazy minds that harm us, these crazy situations that harm us, they're impermanent. The internal minds of love and compassion, they might only be tiny at the moment, but because they're impermanent, they can change and they can grow if the right causes are there. So we can become a better person. We can actually change our personality. A lot of people think, you can't change your personality. You can't change. You're born. You're locked into. We actually believe we can if we put enough effort in. If we put enough effort, so we can become like the Buddha. There's no question we can become like the Buddha because we have that same potential. But we have to start somewhere. So in terms of talking about impermanence, we briefly spoke about gross impermanence, which is things like you drop the glass and it smashes, you step on your watch, your phone runs out of batteries at the wrong time, and then there's birth, there's growing up, there's maturing, then there's sickness, aging, and death. That whole thing. So that's impermanent. That's that gross impermanence, and we have that all the time. And we're usually a bit transfixed with that because that creates just so much hardship. But then at a subtle level, there's very subtle impermanence. And people who've studied science, since about the last couple of 100 years, when we discovered atoms and molecules and how they move, we've realised that even at a subtle level, everything's changing. So our body is all changing. Every aspect of our body is changing at all the time. And our mind is subtly changing at all the time. So in that sense, the body and the mind are subtly changing. That's subtle change. So subtle impermanence and then gross impermanence. Now when we talk about gross impermanence, the most devastating of those impermanences, the gross impermanence, is death. Now, why on earth would we want to talk about death? I suppose it's counterintuitive for a lot of people. But Buddhists love talking about death. We love it, and it's because it really is liberating. It's ace, because having an understanding of death just have so many benefits. Whereas to run away from it and pretend it doesn't exist is really counterproductive. It really doesn't give you much hope or benefit. There are so many benefits of it. For one of the most important benefits is it recalibrates your values in life. It recalibrates it. By understanding death and impermanence, we speak about them together because they're the same. By understanding death and impermanence, it recalibrates your priorities. So death is going to occur. Would this upset? Why am I getting upset about this? Why do I care what that person said to me? Why do I care what happened to me? Why do I care that I've got something physically wrong with me, or that I lost that job, or something? Death is, in that sense, it makes a lot of the things we worry about a little bit less engaging, less tormenting. We have a little bit of freedom, we get a space, so it's not that important. So we recalibrate what both can harm us and also recalibrate what can benefit us, because then we say, well, what can actually benefit us? What is it that actually benefits us? And we say, well, look, the really things that benefit in life, the real things in value in life are not what we own, what we possess, our reputation, our good looks, our good experiences, our good food, whatever. No. The really important things in life are much deeper than that. That's how we've transformed our mind. Literally how we've transformed our mind, but also developing really strong personal good qualities. I'll keep harking back on this: love, compassion, patience, joy, stabilization of the mind, wisdom, these sort of things. Because they're what really cause us to be satisfied in life, because the really most important thing that satisfies us in life is engaging with other living beings. Now, that engagement with other living beings can be tortuous or tormenting, or it can be really enlivening, and it can be really fulfilling. And that depends to a large extent on how many of these positive mental qualities we have and how many of the negative qualities we've been able to make less prominent. So if we're naturally angry, if we're naturally really strongly attached and want to dominate, if we're naturally proud and want to be in charge and to take over, then that's sort of the complete opposite towards what we want, which is intimacy. We want love. We want people to love us, okay? Getting people to love you is really hard. I mean, Jesus was strung up on a cross, but a lot of people didn't like Jesus, and I think he was pretty cool guy. He was pretty nice. The Buddha, people tried to kill the Buddha. So assassins are out there. They're out there, even for the nicest people so not everyone's going to love you, but what you can do is you can generate love in yourself. So that then even if somebody's harming you, that harm doesn't change the mind of love. The mind of love can even be there for a harmer. And that's part of this understanding of death and impermanence, that what really matters is the minds I develop, the attitudes I've got. And then, because everything's going to go. At death there'll be nothing there. My friends won't be there. They'll be there, they'll be crying. Hopefully, if you've got any friends, they'll be there. They might be crying, that's not much benefit. Your wealth won't be much good. You can't take it with you. Your reputation, it'll go. And then the only thing, and your body will go. So all those things we've held precious. So the only thing that matters at the time of death is really how we've cultivated our mind. And also we believe in karma, and that karma transfers us to the next life. So that karma transfers us. So by developing good karma. So we're going to do just a 3-step analytical meditation now. And then at the end of that, maybe come to some conclusions. But the first one is that death is definite. Okay, this is really so. This is the take-home points for homework. Death is definite. The time of death is uncertain. And then what really helps at the time of death is only your mental development. So those 3 things. Death is definite. It's going to occur. The time of death is indefinite or uncertain. And the only thing that helps at the time of death is your mental transformation, all the good qualities you've done. Now, because of understanding those, then we start to transform our attitudes to daily life, our activities, our values, and then we start to lead a more meaningful, productive life. So this is a little sort of analytical meditation. Death is definite. So the way we meditate upon this is we think, well, is there anyone or any being on this world who hasn't died? Okay, very poignant. Okay, we're just seeing Farewell to the Queen. Okay, she, Queen of England, 97 years old. Incredible innings. But even the Queen has to die. The Buddha had to die. The Buddha didn't really have to die. He could have kept going, but he died so as to show us about death and impermanence. Okay. All the other religious leaders that have existed, they've died. All the politicians, all the great community leaders, they've died. Our parents die. Our children will die. We will die. Our pets die. all the bugs on this planet will die. Everything, every living being will die. Okay, so that's so. There might be a little skerrick of your brain that says, "No, that's wrong. There's somebody. I won't die." Yeah, it's there. It's just there, about there. I won't die. It's there. I'm not going to die. Wrong. I'm going to die. I'm part of these living beings. So that little bit in your mind that's nagging, you say, no, don't listen to what he's saying. Don't listen. It's wrong. You're going to be fine. You're not going to die. No, okay, wrong. You will die. Okay. The second thing is then, when will that occur? We have no idea. We have no idea. There are maybe 30 people in this room or something. Tonight might be the night for one of you. One of us. Might be me. So we don't know. We don't know. There are more factors that favour death than life. I mean, even food, even food, you're eating food and you're distracted, and then something comes and you laugh and something gets caught in your throat, and if you're alone, that could be it. Could be over. You could be over. Chocked on a bit of salami sausage or something. It's over. And Netflix there, I told you Netflix was bad for you. Okay, so Netflix, a bit of pork sausage, over, red over, and you got that next rebirth. And then you look down and you think, my hands don't look the same, there's fur on them now. And then you think, okay, so that guy was right, and there is reincarnation. Too late. Okay, so before we go to that pork sausage and cavorting and laughing, then you think the death is definite, the time of death is indefinite. We don't know, it could happen any time. And then what helps at the time of death? And you think about all the things you've got. Think about everything you have accumulated in life. Everything. Look at the stupid things, your wardrobe. Your socks, your undies, your clothes. Think of all the bags you've got, the books you haven't read. And you think, all that sort of stuff. No, maybe you've got jewellery, maybe you've got houses, maybe you've got shares, maybe you've got Bitcoin or something. That's impermanent. That could all be wiped off, couldn't it? It could be left with nothing. So anyhow, all these things. So impermanent. So death is definite. The time of death is indefinite. But what helps at the time of death? And try to really think what helps at the time. And then, what is the purpose of this? The purpose of this is to recalibrate what we believe in. So the fourth step is then say, okay, let me understand or look at the things I value in life and what is meaningful. Just what is really deeply meaningful. As this short human life draws to a close, what is meaningful in my life? Just try to find that meaning. And if you want to find out what the answer to that last question is, what is meaningful, you've got to come next week. We'll talk about that. So that's the lead in to the sequel. Sequel? Prequel, sequel, yeah, the sequel, Okay, so anyhow, I mean, is that all right? This is really simple stuff. Simple but profound. Anyone okay? Want to say anything? Death. Okay, death is important. Okay, death is definite. Time of death is indefinite, and what helps at the time of death? And then, the fourth step is then, what do I value in life, and in the context of death, what is really valuable? What do I currently value, but what is really valuable? So that's the fourth step. Okay, so we'll do this. So this is a led meditation. We'll do it quite quickly. It doesn't have to go on for hours. So get into meditation position again, or just to... Okay, so the purpose of this meditation is to find meaning. That is the purpose of this meditation. Firstly, death is definite. Every living being will die. There's never been a living being who has not died. I will die. Just meditate on that and try to gain conviction in it, that death is definite. Okay, and the second point is, the time of death is uncertain. Just think of all the ways that people, or living beings, can die unpredictably. Third step now is what helps, what really, really helps at the time of death. Is it your body? Is it your family and friends? Is it your wealth? Is it your reputation? What really, really helps at the time of death? Now finally, the conclusion is, what is really of meaning? Of all the activities I've done today in my life, what is meaningful within the context of death? Just look at what you've done and value them. Where is the real value? Okay, you can just cease your contemplation and relax your posture, do all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, look, we've got 5 minutes or so. It's the opportunity for you to give us something, sort of a bit of feedback, question, comments. You've all had a lot of experiences, so I'd love to hear where you've been in life, what's happened to you. I'm sure others would too, or what you think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, hello Ingrid.
I just thought it was interesting at the end of that meditation when you asked us to reflect on what we've done that was meaningful today. And I think sometimes there's a tendency, I don't know, imagine people might have this tendency, but to focus on, what we didn't do today, and then to be a bit down about that.
Yep.
And when we actually take stuff like here now, we might have done whatever beneficial and positive things today. But what is it with the mind that it always wants to go to that bit that wasn't good enough,
Sure.
What is that?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, look, it's very, so if I can try to paraphrase, but I don't know if I'll be able to, but if, just in it, we mentioned in meditation, well, look at what we've done today that's of some value, but we continually put ourselves down and beat ourselves up for thinking, oh, I failed at this, I didn't do good enough, I made mistakes, and when we tend to sort of lock into that, and then that becomes very self-defeating. Does that become like self-defeating, or you lose, lose energy, lose inspiration or something? Or
lose perspective too.
You lose perspective.
Lose perspective because we dwell too much on what we didn't do right.
Yeah.
And then we forget all of the positive things. And then you look back and go, oh, actually, why is my mind just so
Sure.
focused on negative things?
Yeah, good. So why is the mind so fixed on those negative bits? Your people, you've experienced this, you tell me. I don't know all the answers. I'm just here to entertain you, I'm just an entertainer. So why do we fixate on negative bits? Tell me. Sometimes it's conditioning. Sorry? The way you were raised. Okay, sometimes it's conditioning from the... Oh, yeah. Sure, you're not good enough, you're not... Yeah, good. From other people in your life, other people, your parents and others. Yeah, they were making too many demands upon you and unrealistic. Sure. Yeah. So things that happen in this life, absolutely. People and events that happen, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Big fact. Yes, hello.
Yeah, just to add on to that, on sort of a very basic level, we're all animals, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we're sort of programmed to look out for the negatives because of danger.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. So we, sort of always look at the negatives, we're protecting ourselves, perhaps, we look at it that way.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help us a lot of the time. I agree with that.
Sure.
So let's be conscious of that.
That's really good. So because we're all animals and we're used to protect ourselves from danger, yeah, absolutely. And there's always looking out for negative. That's really good. That's like that's something we're born with. So it's inherent. Yeah. And it's sort of true, isn't it? Yeah. I suppose what are the problems with that? What do you think are some of the problems that could evolve if we're too protective? What happens? Yeah, trying to protect ourselves. What happens? Yeah. What sort of things? What do you mean? So.
We could, catastrophize. We could almost invent extreme versions of that negative thought.
Yeah.
Don't exist.
Yeah.
So we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. No. That's cool. what you're saying is really good. It's really cool. Yep. So we catastrophize where we and then eventually, I think we said protect yourself. I mean, there's one lovely poem by a poet, Theodore Roethke, very famous. But there's one line in it that love is not love until love is vulnerable. Love is vulnerable. So you can't know love until you're vulnerable. I mean, that's... Whereas when you're protecting yourself, what are you doing? You're invulnerable. Invulnerable. What does that mean? It means you can't know love. So you can't really experience love. So we all want to experience love. I mean, we all want to be loved by other people. We all want that. That's hard. But on the other hand, we can experience the emotion of love within us. But we can't do it until we get some of these protective sort of things. Because, yeah, we eventually become so protective, we almost become paranoid. You know, think, why did you look at me like, why are you nodding? You nodded at me. What's wrong? Something's happening. Okay, sorry, but I'm just trying to be silly. But, you know, or something. Or that person yawned. Oh my God, I'm boring. I am boring, yes, I know. But they don't like me. They don't like me now. And then, you know, somebody doesn't like me. You know, your whole world can be spent in that dialogue. I think you were talking about as a bit of self-dialogue. We've got these you know, records that are stuck, these recordings that just, you know, how you play on this on your phone and it just keeps playing the same thing over and over again. And it just, if we're not careful, well, that can be really destructive because, yeah, we protect ourselves. Okay, we protect, what are we trying to protect? That's the question. And then we catastrophize, we overestimate, we believe what we see and feel is true and it's not. And then we have barriers. And ultimately we have to destroy all those barriers to really be able to engage with people and also to understand who we are. So yeah, that was good. That was a good start. Okay, we just started. Keep going. I love this bit. We're almost there. 9 o'clock theoretically. We've got 30 more seconds. Yeah, all right.
I just thought I'd share that I'm glad that there's a practice around impermanence.
Yeah.
Because I kind of stumbled across it by chance, but it's really hard to communicate to people in the sense of not feeling that I matter or that this is all going to end without being worried about it at some point. So you can couch it in this kind of philosophy. But even then it felt really liberating rather than worrying. That at the end of the day, it's kind of all about stuff doesn't really matter.
Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear this. So, yeah, for a lot of people to talk about death is, I mean, it's depressing. It's nihilistic. It's like nothing exists. But yeah, it actually is liberating. I'm really glad you got a little bit of that magic because it is quite magical. It really is liberating. It's really good. So we can go into all sorts of depth about it, and as part of this, what we often do when we go through talking about death is we actually go through the death process. There actually is a physiological process of dying. I mean, we know that. You see someone dying, well, actually one of the problems is we don't see people dying anymore because it all happens over there in a hospital or somewhere. But yeah, people, you know, there is a process of death. Yeah, we all know you stop breathing and your heart stops. Okay, but before that, there's a series of gradual physiological changes and psychological changes and psychophysical changes that occur in that living being's experience, and they're sort of a bit predictable and we can train in them so that when death comes, it said we can actually control the process and we can actually be in control of the process of dying. So when we die, that process of death can be a path to liberation. And the actual death process, not just thinking about death now and feeling, oh great, now I don't have to get hung up about so much stuff in this life. It's actually at death that there is the possibility of us being able to train in the meditation on dying, so that when our death comes, or when we're assisting somebody else who's dying, that we can understand what's going on for them and help them, but also when we're dying, that we can take the essence of it and transform it into something really precious. Actually gain sort of enlightenment at that last moment. It said that the last moment of death is when we experience a very, 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 very subtle type of mind. And that subtle type of mind that we experience just before the karma ripens for the next life, that subtle is the closest we're going to get to the Buddha's mind. It's really, really subtle, but we can actually gain access to some of the qualities of a Buddha's mind at that stage. So if we can stay in that state, then we're actually gaining a familiarity with some of the qualities of a Buddha's mind. There are many Tibetan lamas, Tibetan meditators who've died, and they stopped breathing, and heart stopped, everything. But they stay in this meditative state by meditating, just staying on that very subtle nature of the Buddha's mind, we'll call it, and then they stay in that meditative state for sometimes days or weeks. Some of them maybe even for years and years and years. And so maybe that's what will happen to us in our next class. So thank you very much for your patience. If you want to come up, have a cup of tea, we'll go up there. And then I hope you've had fun. I've had a lot of fun. It's been lovely to meet you. I feel very privileged and very grateful that you took this effort. So thank you. You've made my life happy and meaningful. And I hope your lives will be happier and more meaningful by being here tonight. Bye-bye. See you then. Go.